Hello, Facebook Live. What's happening, everybody? Got a special guest with me right now. Totally spur of the moment and super excited right now because we are going to be talking wine. Hello, Randy. Randy Agnes. Randy Agnes from
Agnes Wine Cellars.
So yeah,
We're right near Geneva, right off the thruway.
So this is the cool part about my job, about what Jamie and I do. 45 minutes ago, one of our favorite reps sends a message and says, "Hey, you around? I got a guest I'm traveling with today." And we're like, "Yeah, let me go get my run in real quick." So I ran 2 miles in the misting rain and got back here. And it's the people that we meet. It's all about the connections. Most of you have heard me say all the time, it's about relationships. We're about relationship driven with who we buy from, our foods, our wines, our sales reps, the companies we deal with. And this is the best part of our job, is just meeting people, meeting producers, talking, getting along. And then, of course, this is a double bonus today because you're in New York, you're local. So, yeah. Randy, take it over. Tell everybody what you do. Tell them about your wine. I'm going to pour myself a little more because I'm really enjoying this.
So we're a small winery. There's no question about that. A lot of the wineries in the Finger Lakes are small. And
small. Can I just interrupt 1 second? Small. So some small wineries in the Finger Lakes are considered small at 30, 40, 50,000 cases. You're at how many cases?
1,000 cases.
1,000. So we're very hands-on small. So sometimes that word small, and 50,000 is considered small. You go to Italy and some of these other Spain, 50,000 is nothing. It's just, they're just getting started. So put that in perspective, 1,000 cases.
So we make all of our wine in 1,000 liter tanks. Because we know we have more process control there. I'm a chemist by trade, and that's the key, to produce the wine with fermentation at a very specific temperature and all the way through the tank, so it's even. And it gives us a chance to actually funnel the properties, the chemical properties, the most favored flavor and aroma properties in Riesling. And that's the real deal.
So now, if you were to call me, David, if you were to call me and said, "Hey, I'm going to taste you on a couple Rieslings this afternoon," I'd be like, "Do I need another Riesling? How many more Rieslings do I need?" But wow, folks, of course, there's no secret that Riesling is the grape in New York. Riesling, Cab Franc. There's a few grapes that are just shining stars in New York, and Riesling happens to be the one that is really up high on the list. So this is why there can be an overload of Rieslings, and a lot of people think of New York. I'm so surprised. I go walk into restaurants and I talk to restaurant professionals. They're like, New York wines are way too sweet for me. I just don't like New York wines. I'm like, are you living under a rock? Like, when was the last time you tasted a New York wine? What do we have, 170 something wineries up on the Finger Lakes? 171, I think.
Closing at 200 easily.
Close to 200, right? And yeah, granted, people do make sweet wine.
Yes.
But we're talking, there's so many wines that are dry, and there's so many wines that may be labeled sweet that are very well balanced. Like, I typically don't drink sweet Riesling, and this sweet Riesling is a winner for me. And we're going to bring this in as soon as it's available here, hopefully next week, the week after. So talk about some of your sourcing, some of your accolades, the history, where you're located. Can people come visit you? Can people come? Right. Is there a tasting room? All that kind of stuff. How can they find you on the web?
So it's really easy. We'll start with the web, agneswinecellars.com. And it's Agnes with 2 S's, and that gets misspelled a lot, don't worry. We're right off the Geneva exit on the thruway, so not very far away. We're actually a little bit north on the thruway exit on 14. If you head south, you head into Seneca Lake and the wineries there. So we're like the first stop on the tour, basically, at this point.
So you're the northernmost winery on the trail?
Yes.
Is that fair to say?
That's
okay.
Exactly right.
Okay.
We made it inside the trail by 1/10 of a mile.
Wow. Seneca Lake Wine Trail.
Yes, Seneca Lake Wine Trail. We had only made, for 5 years, this one wine. And it's propelled us. We were voted Best New Wine in America in 2016. Last year, New York State, we were nominated for New York State Winery of the Year with one wine. Our wine just got back from the European Wine Challenge in London, England with a gold medal, and only international gold medal wines were even invited to the competition. So this is a really nice wine. We've been an international gold medalist in both Hong Kong and Paris, and so we're just having a lot of fun with this wine. I'm a chemist by trade, and it does make a difference.
So, tasting room, Yes, no, coming soon.
So our tasting room right now, we're on contingent approval, so we're just waiting for a couple documents to be signed, and then we're going to open up. We're actually opening up as a tavern because we're also going to be the first brewery in Wayne County as well.
Wow, so brewery and winery.
Yeah, and our brewery's brew's good too.
Are you currently making beer?
We are currently making beer.
Okay.
We have 3 different varieties that we're making. One of our first variety was American Pale Ale, and it's going to become on shelves all over New York State soon. It's really, really good. We got high hopes for all of the beer. Actually, it's my daughter and her boyfriend. Her boyfriend used to work at Genesee Brewery, and they're just doing a phenomenal job. We're making small batch, and then we're going to scale up from there.
Beautiful. All right, so you worked for a couple other wineries, another winery before you took on your own project here?
Sure. I actually took classes at FLCC, which is well known for its winemaking, and worked at, it's called KLV, Cuca Lake Vineyard. While I was there, they produced their first 90 and 91 point Rieslings in the Finger Lakes ever. So, good place to start, good place to learn. Hands-on helps. The book work is important, but the hands-on is. I've been an amateur winemaker. I was there about 3 years. Our Riesling in 2014 was double gold medal winner at the Indian International, which is the 3rd largest wine competition in the country. And we just said, okay, it's time to go commercial, and that's what we did, and we've had a lot of fun ever since.
Beautiful. When do you expect the tavern? You'll have food, I'm assuming.
We have to have food.
You have to have food. Okay, okay. You have to have food. So when is that planned to be open?
We're looking at probably a September date at this point. Easily,
so very soon.
We'll be open easily in October when it's a great time to visit the Finger Lakes. It's kind of cool. Right behind our property is the Seneca, or I should say the Canandaigua Outlet, which is basically a river that comes off of Canandaigua Lake and heads up towards the Lake Ontario. So we got a beautiful, beautiful place. It's a 175-year-old farm estate. It's just kind of cool. It's really nice.
Are you going to be by chance at the Food and Wine Festival in Rhinebeck?
Don't know.
September 11th and 12th.
Okay. Well, we were up at in Lake George for their craft festival.
Okay.
We just got back from the Buffalo Mac and Cheese Festival.
Buffalo Mac and Cheese Festival. Okay, good.
And we've got a couple other festivals that are lined up afterwards. We're kind of Irish. You might see that by my hat. We're actually going to be in a couple Celtic festivals, and then we'll start hitting most likely a lot of the wine and chocolate festivals as well.
Great. So 2 wines right now. David, what do we have available? Where in the Hudson Valley can they find the wines? What stores? What retail stores or restaurants?
Stone Ridge.
Stone Ridge. So Tim up in Stone Ridge.
Mm-hmm. You can find Agnes here at Aroma and Time.
Aroma Time. We're ordering as we speak.
Merchant in Kingston.
Merchant in Kingston. Okay.
My Wines in Poughkeepsie.
My Wines in Poughkeepsie.
And if you're down in Fishkill Wine and Liquor.
Okay.
And what's
so
nice,
that's in a few of them.
What's nice is that we have on our wines, our website, we have actually a pin map that we every time we pick up another location, it goes in the pin map. So you just have to open up the map to where you want to go, and there's all the locations.
Perfect. Now you're throughout the whole state, correct?
Throughout New York State.
You have restaurants and retailers throughout New York.
We have about 250 clients throughout New York. We're in Manhattan. The only place that we haven't penetrated yet is Long Island.
Okay. All right. So you're readily available. What are some upcoming plans for? Because right now you have Rieslings. You're coming up with the Method Champenoise, which we're super excited about.
Yes.
I'm really excited about that. True sparkling bubbles, made champagne style. Any other grape varietals you're going to look into, styles?
Sure. We're going to make a lightly oaked Chardonnay. We're also going to make a nice lightly oaked Pinot Noir. And then a right bank Bordeaux red blend, Merlot and Cabernet Franc. And as mentioned, Cabernet Franc is another highlighted metal type of wine in the Finger Lakes. Besides Riesling, Cabernet Franc is falling right second place.
Yeah, it's amazing. Cabernet Francs. Did you hear Kevin Zraeli just recently said the first $100 bottle of New York Red is going to be Cab Franc?
Easy.
Yeah,
That's
he made that a couple weeks ago. He said that New York, the $100 bottle of New York wine is on the frontier, and it's going to be Cabernet Franc.
Yeah, definitely.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yep. So lots of stuff, really great stuff going on. Here in the Hudson Valley, we have almost 70 wineries. Long Island, I think, has 80 some wineries, and there's almost 200 upstate in the Finger Lakes.
Yeah.
Folks, New York wine, is on the map. There's a lot of great producers out there. There's a lot of people that we don't like, but that's for you to go out and decide, because there's really every style out there, really every style out there. And I've always said, the larger the tasting room, it can be sketchy. You want to find small places that are making small production, hands-on. You cannot judge the quality of wine by the tasting room. There's some tasting rooms that look great, that have great wine, but there's some tasting rooms that are drop dead gorgeous that they're not on par with the quality of the wine they're making. But you have to decide for yourself. You have to get out there, look for the small, off the beaten path ones, the ones that are, that don't have the big ads, ones that are making small quantities, hands-on, people that are understanding what's going on, and with the value and the dedication. I think the dedication and passion is really where it comes down to.
And
in a lot of
the
this.
Finger Lakes are becoming on a lot of destination wine lists. Best places to go for travel and tourism for wine. And there's a lot of the Finger Lakes wines, the very top end wines, are like ourselves now. We're taking on the world. We're not just worried about New York State and the Finger Lakes. We all work together in the Finger Lakes. We all want to promote the region, but we will literally take on everything in the world, because we're that good now.
Yeah, it's the quality of New York wines is amazing. I would love to open up like a New York wine shop, only New York wines. I know there existed in the past, but I think do a concept here and take a concept to like Florida or something.
Oh yeah.
I think people in Florida are ready for New York wines because they miss New York, or they're from New York, and I think our quality. And I know some New York wines are already making their way into distribution in New York, but I think an all-themed New York shop and institute would be fantastic to learn more about wine and do tastings and events and sell all kinds of New York wine.
So we're looking at D2C options as everyone else has. So we're just started working with Vino Shipper as one of the possibilities. So everyone's got to look at new outlets now at this time. And what are the things we can do to try and generate wine? We just talked about trying to get more wine sales of New York wines in New York.
Yes. So here's what I just pitched, and I'm going to need some help with this. So July 5th, they took away, see behind me, you can see all the shelves behind me, we still have some out, we've taken most of them down, but before July 5th, when COVID hit till July 5th, we could sell all those bottles of wine to go. For retail, you could walk in here, grab a steak, grab some kind of food item, and I can sell you bottles to go, I can sell you bottles of bourbon to go. They took that away July 5th, it wasn't renewed. They put a bill up that wasn't well written because the liquor authority is in favor of us being able to sell still, and it was voted down. Now, I just think it was poorly written, and maybe it was the wrong time to do it. I'm not sure. But I suggested to the Liquor Authority, which I loved, and to Representative Delgado the other day, and I just pitched it to you, Randy, was as restaurants and as far as retail stores do not want us to sell liquor to go. They do not want it. But I said, let's do some kind of system where take 10% of my sales in a restaurant, take 10% of a wine shop sales, and give us food, give them food to go, and because you can't walk into a wine shop now and buy a piece of cheese or sopressata, you got to go somewhere else. And in here, if you want to get a steak dinner and you didn't want a bottle of wine, you got to go down the street to the wine shop. But let's move forward where we can do that in a way where it's going to promote New York. And
right.
let's make the law written where if I'm selling a New York product, give me 10% of my overall sales, and let me push New York wines, New York bourbons, New York whiskeys, New York vodkas, and to make this all about New York. When you walk into a wine shop, if you want some cheese, there's New York cheese there. There's New York sopressata there. It's going to force more restaurants to buy New York. Definitely. And it's going to force more wine shops to even just get into the game of buying stuff from a farm hub, from a local farmer, from a local distributor. And I think it can change our landscape immensely and promote New York wines and spirits and foods to the next level. So that's my goal. I'd like to see this get sponsored and passed. And you said, what can we do? I need to write everything down.
Right.
We need to start hitting our state reps, all the people that we've elected into power, and say, you know what? And you said make it a very good point. Every state representative has agriculture
Yes.
in their region, right? So whether there's a cheesemaker, a charcuterie maker, some kind of artisanal food maker, or a winery or a brewery or distillery, it's in every single district even in Brooklyn, they're making wine, right?
And if we don't do it, this is the sad part. I was just in Wyoming County where they had at one point 100 cheesemakers, and now there's down to one, because the whole industry is just disappearing because we just don't have a good way to support it.
Right. I mean, we're losing out to Wisconsin. We're losing out to imported cheese. We're losing out to cheese from everywhere, and it's a shame that we have the stuff here. We have the people that are dedicated to produce it. There's ways that people now have these cheese trailers where they can go around, and you don't need to invest all this equipment to make cheese anymore, or even bottling lines in wineries and breweries. You can rent the stuff out. There's communal spaces now which help people produce, and that's going to help everything across the board. It's going to help with employment. It's going to help with our with our gross product here in the state, and I think it's a win-win for everybody. And I think if it's a pitch like that, I think we'll have a good shot of us still being able to allow to sell wine to go, and shops getting some stuff as well.
And if you haven't visited the Finger Lakes, you really need to take a trip.
Yes, let's talk about that. The Finger Lakes. You're the northernmost winery on the wine trail.
Yes.
You're near Geneva, which is a great city. There's some great food there.
Oh.
Kindred Fair.
Kindred Fair.
Kindred Fair.
FLX tables there.
FLX tables there.
You've got Geneva on the lake. You've got Brother Hills Castle. I mean, there's just some really great restaurants and hotels to go visit. Just right at the top of the lake.
Right at the top of the lake. And the neat thing is, if you go down any side of the lake, what's the maximum distance? 40 miles?
I think that might be the maximum distance.
Maximum distance, top to bottom.
It might actually be like 30 miles.
Yeah. There are tons and tons of wineries, hotels, restaurants, some breweries.
Fun.
It's a lot of fun. And if you're into the boat life and stuff like that, the lake life, there's lots of marinas. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on that lake. Seneca Lake being the biggest lake, they house like 80% of the water of all the Finger.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
It's deep.
I'm actually on the board for the Seneca Lake Pure Waters Association because it's important to us. That's where all of the vineyards that we work with are. We have to protect these Finger Lakes water supplies.
Right. And I heard something interesting that the saline that they use in contact solution comes from the Finger Lakes.
I'm not.
It's some of the purest salt in the world.
I wouldn't doubt it.
They mine down way underneath the lake there and pull out some of the salt
a lot of people
deposits.
don't know that there's just huge salt deposits under every Finger Lake.
Yeah, so they're using those salt deposits for saline solution.
That's
so
good.
pure
No.
salt in the world, from what I hear. So yeah,
and then there's, if you're a camper, great camping right along the Seneca Lake as well. So I mean, you don't have to have a hotel if you got an RV or a tent. You want to just hang out and go and visit the wineries and the part of your trip. Perfect place to go.
state parks.
State parks.
Tons of state parks. Tons of hiking.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, hiking is so insane there. It's great.
And there's cool places like, go to the Corn Museum. Go if you're at the top of the lake, you can go into Rochester to the Strong Museum. These are world-class places to go visit that people don't really get a chance to do that often.
How far are you from Rochester?
We're about less than 30 miles from Rochester.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
You're right there.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
very close.
Okay, great. All right, excellent, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. If you watched this, if you're watching it, drop a comment, #live. If it was on the replay, #replay. If you're on YouTube, you're definitely on the replay because we upload it afterwards to YouTube. And that's it, folks. We're all going to get back to work here because I know you've got to get to other places and I've got to get in the office. And stay tuned for Agnes Wines, here to be featured here at Aroma Time very soon. All right, thank you very
so
much,
much.
Randy.
It was great talking with y'all.